Welcome to the video, and in this video I'm going to be sharing with you the lenses that I have chosen to pair with my Sony A7cII Mark II. One of the things I absolutely love about this camera is how small, portable and lightweight it is. So when choosing lenses, I wanted to keep this in mind, keeping them as light as possible but not compromising on quality. I want to take full advantage of the full frame sensor that this camera provides. So let me get into it. First and foremost, I have chosen 3 lenses, a trio of lenses to cover a wide variety of shooting without weighing me down and allowing me to concentrate on my photography and making photos rather than what lens I'm putting on my camera. All of my lenses are Sony glass. They are within the G series lineup. They're not the GM lineup, but the G series. Beautifully made, fantastic build quality, and I think complement the A7C lineup really, really nicely. So firstly, I've chosen a general lens. To no surprise, this is a 16-35. I've gone for the f4 power zoom lens. This is a newer and lighter weight lens than the previous f4 Sony Zeiss lens, which I've owned in the past. And in all honesty, in the past few years, I ditched it because I kind of went down the rabbit hole of prime lenses and not being able to use anything above an f2.8. But I've done a bit of a 180 and I've come back to my trusty 16-30 f4. The reason I haven't gone for 2.8 is it's too big and it's too heavy, not to mention the price. And this f4 fits on the camera absolutely beautifully. I think it complements it really nicely. And one of the benefits of the G series lenses is, as I mentioned, the build quality is exceptionally good, and they do add customizable buttons to the lens barrel so you can change them and set them up how you want them, as well as having an aperture ring. So I like how the whole thing looks, how the whole thing feels, and of course it maintains really good quality as well. I love this lens. I use it for video and for photo. Now, as it's a power zoom, it has been created with video first in mind, but I'm using it all the time for photo as well. I wanted to capture some videos like this. I needed a little bit more width on my focal length, so I wanted that 16-20 range, hence the reason I've gone back to my 16-35. But at the same time, in the same package, I've got that 35mm focal length as well to capture some details if I want. So if there was a one lens wonder, this would be it. It pretty much does everything that I need on the regular basis, and I'm able to go out and capture some landscapes, architecture shots, which I do quite regularly now in London, and I'm really looking forward to traveling with this lens, capturing some amazing landscapes that I've got lined up for the rest of the year. My second lens is what I would call my everyday carry, my more photography lens, but what I would pop in my bag. Even if I'm not taking all of my camera stuff, I would put this lens on the camera and take it out with me to perhaps go into town, shoot some street photography, take some pictures of some food or some people. And that is my Sony FE 40mm 2.5 lens. This is part of a trio of compact primes that Sony made when they released the original Sony A7cII Mark I, and they're lovely lenses. I actually have had a couple of these within this lineup, have had the 24 as well, but the 40mm is a real firm favorite of mine. I'll put it on the lens and go out, and I'm pretty happy that I can capture everything. If I go into crop mode, I can turn it into a 60mm lens, which is really nice as well. Of course, you lose a little bit of quality, but it gives it that little bit more versatility. Super small, super cute, very inconspicuous. I love it. As I said, I love it for street photography. It's an f2.5, so you get that nice wide open aperture. You can blur the background, you can pick out some details, and it's just an all-round really fun and really nice lens to use. It's so small and tiny as well, and really doesn't add much weight. So I'm happy to stick that in alongside my 16-35. Even though you might think it's quite low close in focal length, which of course it is, it really does add a completely another dimension and dynamic to my photography. I have made a video completely about that, so you can check that out up here if you want to find out some more details. And my third lens in my trio of setup is what I would call my specialist lens. This is my 90mm 2.8 macro. This is the lens that I don't use all the time. I don't carry it with me all the time, and I probably won't carry it to travel. Maybe, not sure. Anyway, this lens I use primarily for my work photography, which is dental photography. You can't compromise on anything but a macro lens. It's quite big, it's quite heavy, especially for this camera, but not massive, to be honest. It's not ridiculous. It doesn't look like you've got one of those big sort of telephoto lenses on a tiny, tiny body. It's reasonable. It's not completely outlandish, but it is quite heavy compared to my other two lenses anyway. But you do get some very, very unique photos with this. Obviously, it's a macro lens, and I really enjoy doing a little bit of macro photography, aside from dental photography sometimes. But I've also used it for other things. Great for portraits, and I've even used it for landscape as well when I've been on my travels. Again, I've made a video about this specifically, so I will put the link down in the description below if you want to watch a bit more about that. I really like it. Again, it's within the G series lineup, beautifully made, lovely lens. Really, really quality bit of glass, and it's actually quite versatile, so I'm keeping that in there as my speciality lens. And that really makes up my trio of lenses, and that covers me for most things that I need. I don't have a big zoom in there, as you will have noticed, but obviously I've got the 90, which I can use, and I can put that into crop mode as well if I so want to, and get a little bit further and zoomed in. But I find that that combination really fits my needs, for my YouTube needs, for video, as well as making photos. And I'm excited to take it on my travels this year and not be weighed down by loads and loads of glass, and not to have that decision fatigue of what lens do I need to have on, feeling like you've always got the wrong lens on. So 2024 is going to be fun and quite minimal. So I hope you found a few useful nuggets of information in there. It's giving you a little bit of inspiration into which lenses you might want to get or switch up or bring into your lineup, even if it's not Sony. Just talking about focal lengths in general, but specifically Sony, these lenses that I've mentioned, really, really nice, and I think are perfectly combined with a Sony A7cII lineup. So thank you for watching, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next video.